Hello friends, today I wanted to talk about a Sacrifice Witch Doctor build. And I want to get this out of the way right in the beginning. This build is not good for pushing Grifts. It's really not that good for speed farming. It's honestly not even that great for Torment 13. It's really only good if you have the gear and you just kind of want to mess around with something different for a little bit, and you just miss exploding stuff with dogs. So, let's go over the build real quick. First up, you want Haunt, and I'm using Poison Spirit, so things take more damage. That seems good. Piranado is amazing because it groups everything up and they take more damage. I like Spirit Walk Severance. You could use Jaunt. Either one is fine. Just some type of Spirit Walk is nice. Now, I'm using Soul Harvest and I have Soul to Waste just so I can move faster. It makes it, I don't know, I always enjoy moving really quick. I think this is nice. You could use a different skill if you don't want to use Soul Harvest. But I like this one, again, because of movement speed. You can also do Armor if you do want to try pushing Grifts with this, which, you know, at your own risk here. Then you do need Sacrifice. I like Next of Kin. That way you can have a chance of summoning another dog. And now this skill, excuse me, you can either use Horrify, and if you use Horrify and you need defense, go with Frightening Aspect. If you want speed, go for Stalker. Now, Horrify is good. It goes well with the Ticlandian Visage because it causes enemies to be rooted and when you fear. And that's pretty nice for CC. However, I find that sometimes I run out of dogs when I use this version. So I also like using, oops, I went the wrong way. Mass Confusion, and then, which one is it? Devolution. So that way you always get a zombie dog every time it's up. And this also goes well if you're using the Last Breath weapon. It's also kind of neat because this weapon's pretty, it's like, you know, not the best weapon, but it works out really nice with this build because it makes it so the cooldown of Mass Confusion you can get it to almost around 12 seconds, which means that you'll always have it for big groups, which is fantastic. So let's go over the passives. I'm using Midnight Feast, Tribal Rites. This is just for the Mass Confusion cooldown. Pierce the Veil for just more damage, and Zombie Handler for a little more life and another doggy. I would also recommend using a Hellfire Amulet. I just happen to have Fierce Loyalty, so that gives us another dog and a little bit more movement speed. Now, if you don't want to use Soul Harvest, you could also use Summon Dogs here. That way you have a chance to always have more dogs to summon, which might be nice if you're trying to push Grifts because you could run out of them on single target DPS. So let's go over some of the build. I'm using this helm only because it's what I have. You could use, there's a bunch of different helms you could probably use. You could probably use Leoric's Crown, and then you could, in the armor cube slot, you could use, you could put this in the armor cube slot then, and then you could cube the, and then you could wear the Witching Hour. There's some wiggle room there. Shoulders, I'm just using these, you know, it has a chance to live longer. I already said Hellfire Amulet's fantastic, you have to use it. Kia Kuras, you don't use any mana, so this just gives you more defense. The Lakumba's Ornament is fantastic if you're going to be using Soul Harvest. It gives you a bunch of defense. You could also use Nemesis Bracers, though, which are right here. I just don't have an Ancient pair, so that's why I don't have them equipped. The gloves, these gloves give you a lot of extra life because of the passive legendary power. And you would, in an ideal world, you'd want crit chance and crit damage, or you could use cooldown reduction, area damage. Like area damage on the shoulders would be really great too. For the belt, this belt I don't like, but I have a legendary or an ancient version of it, so that's why I'm using it. You'd be better off using the Haunting Girdle because you want to be casting Haunt as much as possible because it's going to make you do a lot more damage with Ring of Emptiness, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Again, rings, Wailing Host, Litany of the Undaunted, crit damage, crit chance, area damage. Those stats are ideal. Pants, you want the Swampland Waiters. So you're looking for, you know, physical damage, Vite, Int. Plague of Toads, obviously useless, but it's just what I could get in terms of Ancient Pants. Boots, I like Illusory Boots. You could also use Ice Climbers. It's not too big of a deal, as long as they're Ancient. Weapon, now, the problem is I don't have an Ancient Sacred Harvester, which is why, at the moment, I enjoy the Mass Confusion build, because it's Ancient, which gives us a lot more damage because of Lon. I'm using cooldown reduction just to get the Mass Confusion lowered a bit. And then lastly, in your offhand, you need the Homunculus, so a zombie dog is automatically summoned all the time. In the cube, over, you want Wormwood. This is to get Locust Swarm on everything. I'm using Leoric's Crown, it would be ideal to not cube this, you probably want to wear the Leoric's crown if you're not going to be using Horrify. Then you can cube the Haunting Girdle and wear the Witching Hour. But, you know, what can you do? And then for Ring, you absolutely need the Ring of Emptiness because 300% damage when you have Haunt and Locust Swarm on enemies, and things blow up pretty quickly. And last, let's go over some Paragon. Movement speed, then I just pump everything into Int. You don't need attack speed, it doesn't help at all. So crit chance, crit damage, cooldown reduction. Then here you probably need maybe armor, life, all resists, some order like that. Life regen is good too, but again, it's last. And these ones, area damage, resource cost, life per hit, gold fine. You know, so I really wouldn't go out of my way to farm the gear unless you really want to try a sacrifice build. It is pretty fun, and you could probably do, you can do T13 and maybe higher if you had optimal gear. You know, I don't have any augments or anything on that. I don't know why you necessarily want to augment this gear, but you could. And my guess is that you could go, you know, pretty high, but it's going to be a lot more work than other builds. So this is just, you know, if you're bored and you want something new to try. So until next time, guys, talk to you later.